How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with the boys, Alex and Ryan. Today we're talking about none other than Josh Donaldson. Big game yesterday for Joshy with 2 homers. Had a slight change in batting stance. Kind of an interesting development going on here about a week before spring training comes to an end. The Yankees are trying to get Josh Donaldson back into the value category instead of the liability category. $25 million. We would love a little bit of production. Even if he could hit his career averages, which, by the way, are ridiculous, that would be awesome. Unlikely, but it would be awesome. So we want to talk about some quotes he had, talked to the Athletic, I think Brendan Cuddy, and kind of breaking down, the changes he's trying to make and the successes he's kind of eyeing, and if he has a little bit of gas left in the tank, Ryan. Before we dive into Josh Donaldson, what he can offer this team this upcoming season, how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. As you mentioned, Josh Donaldson's making changes, and a lot of people don't like Josh Donaldson, and I understand not liking the antics off the field, kind of the the pimping the fly balls that don't go out for home runs, not producing. I understand what makes Josh Donaldson an unpopular player, but I'm always going to give credit to a player who's going out and making adjustments, going out and identifying that you struggled last year, and not being saying what, I'm just going to bounce back because I just got unlucky, or this isn't who I am as a player. He's identifying that the player he was last year is the player he's going to be going forward if he doesn't make changes. He struggled with fastballs. If you look at his leg kick, there's a lot less movement, a lot quicker timing. He's a little more upright. These are things that should allow him to get to the ball quicker, make adjustments. He actually isn't chasing nearly as much in spring as he was at the major league level last year. Josh Donaldson, for some reason, swung a lot more last year, which is interesting because he was a guy who you brought in partially because he walked a lot, right? He had a really good OBP in 2021, and the Yankees viewed that as a valuable asset, right? Josh Donaldson is a player that I don't think is going to reach the power numbers he had in the past. But, if he can get his OBP up, if he can cut down the strikeouts, if his defense is where it's at, he's going to be a really, really nice player to have for this team. A 115 WRC plus Josh Donaldson with the Gold Glove caliber defense, he should have won the Gold Glove last year. That's not up for debate. He should have won that Gold Glove. With Gold Glove caliber defense, man, I mean, how many third basemen are providing that for you, right? You imagine Anthony Volpe most likely will start at AAA based on just the roster, just the way that they like Peraza, the fact that Torres is still here, having LeMahieu, having Donaldson, right? What you don't want is to have just a liability at third base. I think you put it the best way, right? You want to get value. You do not want a liability at third base. You don't want to feel like, you get or even inconclusive data with Josh Donaldson. If he's a league average player for the first month of the year, is that enough for him to get DFA'd? Not really. So you're kind of just stuck with league average. You don't really know what to do with him. You want to just get a conclusive version of Josh Donaldson, and the best outcome for that is him playing really well. Do I think that, Josh Donaldson's going to have a big year this year? Everything that we have data-wise tells us no, right? Everything in terms of age, in terms of what happened last year, in terms of how he regressed last year. Like, the common sense answer, I feel like, and the consensus answer is going to be no. But can a new batting stance be something to observe and say, you know what, this is an attempt to make a change? Perhaps this is a catalyst for a big year this year? Absolutely. So, the way I put it is I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic that this can work well for Josh Donaldson. End of the day, I think Brian Cashman will tell you too, if Josh Donaldson has a big year, and you can kind of forget about the nightmare that was the Donaldson IKF deal last year, you get a little bit of a stress off of your shoulders. And again, you just get more offense. Giancarlo Stanton's going to hit the IL at some point this year. Harrison Bader's already on the IL this year. DJ LeMahieu's the guy who's had IL stints back-to-back years and missed the postseason. Rizzo's had multiple IL stints in the last 2 years. These are guys you're expecting to miss time, or expecting at least one of them will miss time. That is where you need Josh Donaldson, right? You wouldn't have cared about losing DJ LeMahieu if you had the 2021 version of Josh Donaldson. That wouldn't have mattered that much to you. Even in left field, right? You feel like you have question marks out there. If you have question marks in left field, but suddenly you got really good, contributions from third base, suddenly you feel a lot safer about your lineup. You feel a lot safer about your team. And now having a defense-first guy like Hicks isn't as detrimental to your lineup, right? End of the day, you're just trying to cover yourself up at positions that you feel like should perform at a certain level. And I feel like Josh Donaldson, he can be such an important part of what this team does. He can be such a massive relief for this front office. It's just a matter of if this change actually amounts to anything in the regular season.
Right. And the sample size is quite small, right? We saw one good spring training performance from Josh Donaldson, and, the rest of his spring numbers are not very good. So far across 31 at-bats in 226 with a 314 OBP, 862 OPS, 7 hits, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. Obviously, 2 of those homers came yesterday. But his his quality this spring has been poor. One good performance every now and then. Even bad players have one showcase performance. Like I've had that like one big game against Boston last year and then like was awful pretty much the rest of the time. So, it's we can expect a guy like Josh Donaldson, whose career has been, littered with tremendous performances, to have one every really good day every once in a while. But we need consistent good days. We need to have, a couple, maybe one or two good days a week, maybe one or two good days every 2 weeks at the very least. You can't have one or two good days every month. It's not enough. You need to have consistent months of production and efficiency. Otherwise, we got to start looking at our other options. And we've had this discussion over and over again regarding, Josh Donaldson's replacements. Maybe they put Peraza there. DJ LeMahieu, for goodness sake. I had 7 defensive runs and 4 outs above average in 365 innings last year on the hot corner. The guy is more than capable of filling in at third base if we wanted to go in that direction. For what it's worth, if Josh Donaldson wasn't making $25 million, he would be starting there. DJ LeMahieu would be our third baseman because he looks really freaking good this spring. I don't know if you've seen his numbers this spring. I know it's just whatever. Spring training stats are nonsense, but DJ LeMahieu, over the course of his career has been phenomenal during the regular season as well. That foot injury, that toe injury, does not look like it's bothering him whatsoever. He's been playing defense at a very nice rate, hitting really productively. And then you got Anthony Volpe in the mix here. And DJ LeMahieu, did you hear what DJ LeMahieu had to say yesterday about Anthony Volpe making the active roster, making the 26-man roster? The quote's pretty phenomenal. He said he's definitely a big leaguer. You can tell he really wants it, and he loves to play. Talent-wise, the talent is there. He said it's his first big league spring training. You never know how a guy's going to look. He's been on it the whole time. I'm excited to play with him at some point, whenever that is. So, when you're looking at Volpe, he's getting pretty big, comments and avocations from Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu. If you're Aaron Boone and you're Cashman and you're going to hold him down because of a service time manipulation reasoning, maybe you'll hold him out for a month and then you bring him up so you can keep that extra service time. You actually get the extra year. But are we really going to keep our best players down and our number one prospects down because we're trying to add an extra year on at 5 years from now? We don't even know if he's going to end up being that good. We don't even know if he's going to end up being elite. We hope to God he is. The best case scenario is you have to pay the guy because he's so freaking good and he's our next Derek Jeter. You know what I mean? That's a great situation to be in. And for the next 5-6 years, he's dirt cheap. Why are we having this conversation right now? You play your best players. We're half a decade away from having to make that decision, and he can help us right now. He can be our leadoff man, and DJ LeMahieu can be in the 5 or 6 spot, and the top half of our order is one of the best in baseball. You know what I mean? This, and the more reps Volpe is going to see, the better it's going to be. So we have a really big decision to make. The hot corner incorporates into that entire equation, whether it's going to be Donaldson, whether it's going to be somebody else. But right now, I have no freaking clue what they're going to do. How do you think this plays out right now, knowing Volpe's dominance and the fact that it seems like they're leaning toward promoting him, but Gleyber Torres, Donaldson, DJ, how do you get all these guys reps? Someone's got to go or someone's got to sit down the bench, no?
Yeah, the best way to put this, man, is, Josh Donaldson has a lot of pressure on him. Number one, DJ LeMahieu is a very popular player in that locker room and in the fan base and has produced in the last year. Gleyber Torres is a very, very popular player, in that clubhouse. There are a lot of fans who are diehards for him. Some of them don't like him, but there are diehards from the fan base. And he's also coming off of his best year in about 3 years, right? Anthony Volpe, right now, is probably the most beloved player on the fan base, and arguably, and he's also the guy that's gotten vocal support from that clubhouse. There's a history of Josh Donaldson rubbing people the wrong way, right? I can't speak to whether he's a guy who's very popular in the locker room or not, but there is a history of him rubbing certain players the wrong way, right? End of the day, Volpe's a popular player in that clubhouse. Volpe's a popular player on the team. It's not, Donaldson's not a long-time Yankee. He has 1 year as a Yankee, and it was a very disappointing season, right? People mention that, Brian Cashman's very, arrogant, doesn't want to admit mistakes, right? But I think Josh Donaldson is a mistake. He's more than willing to cut bait with if Anthony Volpe is ready and Josh Donaldson's struggling. I think more than anyone else, Josh Donaldson himself knows that he needs to step up this year, that this can't be an okay year for him. This can't be a mediocre year for him. It has to be really good, or he's not going to find himself in the starting lineup for the Yankees very long, or on the Yankees for very long. This is why he's making an adjustment, because he knows the pressure's on, right? You can I can sit here and I can mention there are a plethora of reasons, there are a plethora of people, there are a plethora of talking heads in the media who not a single one of them believes in Josh Donaldson, right? He can change that narrative for himself, and I'm willing to be open to the idea of, the first month of the season, prove something to me, right? But if you don't prove anything conclusive, you're like, no one's going to be advocating for him to still start. No one's going to be advocating for him to still play. No one, not a single soul. I don't mean this to say that, I'm trying to like rip on Josh Donaldson, but he knows the pressure's on. No one knows it better than himself. And if he can prove it, that he's that guy, and despite all the doubters and all the doubt and all the pressure to perform, and having Anthony Volpe right behind him, who's having a phenomenal spring training, he's hitting over 300 and he's got 5 stolen bases and he's playing excellent defense and he's working a bunch of walks and he's everything the Yankees have ever imagined they could ever need in the leadoff spot. I'm sorry, but that Anthony Volpe has the higher ceiling than Josh Donaldson, and he knows that Anthony Volpe is going to be here a lot longer than Josh Donaldson is going to be here, right? So end of the day, the pressure's on Josh Donaldson, right? All of the pressure in the world is on Josh Donaldson to perform. He's not going to have the leash he had last year. He's not going to have half the leash Yankee fans think he's going to have. This dude has got about a month to perform, because if he's not performing and Anthony Volpe's killing it in AAA, Brian Cashman has said this before. He's like, I wouldn't be able to walk outside of New York if I traded Gleyber Torres back in 2018. He's going to have the same type of thought in his mind with Anthony Volpe and Josh Donaldson. If Josh Donaldson has a 95 WRC plus and he's, not hitting that well in April, and Anthony Volpe's killing it in AAA, he's going to probably feel the same way of, I can't walk outside of New York if I have Josh Donaldson playing third base and Anthony Volpe in AAA. The fans want to see him. There's a monetary incentive, selling jerseys, stadium, getting more attendance, all that stuff. There are too many incentives for Anthony Volpe to play, for Josh Donaldson to get enough of a leash, and he knows that. So, I think you agree with me here. We want to see Anthony Volpe, but Josh Donaldson has a chance to prove, to try to slow us down a little bit, and wanting to see Volpe and keep and win back the fan base, which is really what he's going to have to try to do this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is an opportunity for him to kind of get back in the, like I said before, the value category. And right now he's more of a liability and a vulnerability on this team. But we need him to play well, because, if he's going to be making this much money, like, gotta justify it. Otherwise, I mean, for goodness sake, Brian Cashman said he said verbatim, there's no sugarcoating it. The Montas deal was a bust. Our GM's calling his own trades bust now, man. We haven't had a good trade in a long time. A good, big, productive trade in a long, long freaking time. We can't keep justifying these moves that Cashman's making by the, Jose Trevino's, the little ones, the Clay Holmes, these little gem pieces. Those are great. If you can pair them with productive, really good trades, and you're moving your top pitching prospects for players, you got to get value, man. And a lot of these aren't his fault, right? Like, we didn't know that Scott Efros was going to, have Tommy John surgery. We didn't know that Carlos Rodon was going to have a left forearm strain after 2 years of pretty consistent play. And he's going to bounce back and he should be fine. But he also is on a 6-year contract, so it's a very long time. But, you look at the other deals, like, Joey Gallo, the Montas ones, the, Josh Donaldson, IKF trades, like, the Jacoby Ellsbury's of the world. We have seen a lot of bad situations unfold here. Aaron Hicks is another one to throw into the mix. And trading away our top prospects for guys that are injury prone. Like, the fact that Montas came out and said that he knew he was hurt when they were traded, and somehow the Yankees didn't care, and somehow the Yankees ignored it when they needed him for the playoffs, is blasphemy. It's mind-blowing that even is a situation we have to discuss. We need more efficient, trades and acquisitions that aren't going to bite us in the butt. You should never trade for a player. Look, I get the Harrison Bader trade, and he ended up being a good player, and I think he's going to be fine for us. But again, he's injured too right now. So, it's hard to say what that's going to end up being, the value of that from Jordan Montgomery. But right now, I think out of the last 5 or 6 deals, bigger deals that Cashman's made, none of them have perceivingly worked out. You know what I mean? And that's a big problem. You can't have sustainable success with that, right?
Yeah, I think the first person that can tell you will tell you that these trades haven't worked out is Brian Cashman. Right? He's already said it. You mentioned it with the Montas thing. His quotes on Montas. I don't think he's got much patience for these guys anymore. I don't think he's got much patience for Josh Donaldson right now. He showed it. Joey Gallo struggled for half the year and he was gone. And the Yankees knew he knew he was getting traded by the time July rolled around. They made it very apparent they were moving him. Aaron Hicks, he got benched for Estevan Florial. By the way, Esteban Florial has never had major league success, and he got benched for Esteban Florial. And they put a rookie who's never played left field and is a career infielder in left field. They gave him some run in the postseason, and they benched him after two games. He got hurt as well, but I don't think he would have lasted very long in left field there. The Yankees acquired Benintendi. They've made it very obvious to Aaron Hicks they're willing to replace him. They're going to make it very obvious to Josh Donaldson. We are willing to replace you. Aaron Hicks, they were openly shopping him all offseason. The only reason that Donaldson and Hicks are here is because no one wanted them. And I'm pretty sure the Yankees front office has made it abundantly clear to them that's the only reason they're here right now. Right? And again, I don't mean to sit here and just rip on these guys because at the end of the day, new season, new slate, and I'm willing to give them that. But I don't think Brian Cashman's willing to say, hey, you're still struggling and it's May. It's fine. You'll still start. If Aaron Hicks, if Josh Donaldson, if any of these guys who were, have turned out to become poor investments aren't playing the way they should be playing, and it's May and the Yankees, even if the Yankees are playing very well, they will make it abundantly clear how quickly and how easily they will replace those guys. I know a lot of Yankee fans are probably hearing this and saying he's not going to admit his mistakes. He's made it very clear to these two guys. You either play very well now or you're not playing. You're not going to be here. You can go find somewhere else. You can find another team to pick you up. We'll eat the $25 million if in May you're stinking. We need Anthony Volpe. He's going to bring us money. He's going to bring us production. He's our leadoff hitter of the future, right? They've shown even IKF has to learn how to play a million different positions because I don't even think he had a shot at winning the shortstop job. I don't think they ever gave him a shot to win the job. There was that Joel Sherman report where they said, he felt like the consensus was IKF never had a shot to win the shortstop battle. They just didn't want to let him know that, right? I think the patience with these veterans has run out very quickly, right? Gary Sanchez, gone. Gio Urshela, gone. Luke Voigt, gone. Any of those guys from that 2017, 2018, that baby bomber run, gone, and gone. Gleyber Torres, they've basically showed him the door already. And Duhar, gone. Florial, probably going to get DFA'd. They've had enough of this. I think that the front office is not going to take, this guy was here last year. We want to give them some run. No, it's either it's showtime because they've got a lot of young kids that are cheaper, that are better, that are more talented, that are more exciting, that are more beloved in the fan base. You got to perform or else you're going to get replaced.
Yep, that's exactly right. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below. We kind of discussed a couple different things here and some really interesting conversations to be had over the next couple days. They're having these roundtable kind of discussions. They're having these email blasts to third parties to gauge opinions on the shortstop position battle. Of course, Aaron Hicks is a major what is going on? What if, he's hitting a little bit better, but his defense has been a little bit concerning. Traditionally, his defense has been good. So, maybe they overlook that because of spring training and just, not consistent reps and, maybe unfamiliarity and George Steinbrenner Field. Who knows? It could be a myriad of different, variables impacting Aaron Hicks or any specific player on this team, but always happy to hear your perspectives nonetheless in the YouTube comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe. As always, enjoy the rest of your day. We got you guys on the recap later. There's no televised or radio blasted games for the Yankees today, but nonetheless, we have you covered on that end with, the top performers and whatnot and things that you should know from today. And then obviously, hopefully tomorrow will be televised and we have more information for you. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode. As I said, like, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.